welcome back, everybody. Today I have the wonderful Corinna Bechko here, and we're going to be talking about California Screamin' again. But for those of you who aren't familiar with her work, this is the Hugo and Eisner nominated and New York Times bestselling author of many wonderful graphic novels and comics, and also works with dinosaurs, as you can see, and which I thought is really fascinating. So we'll talk about this today. But welcome to you, Corinna.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we're here to talk about California Screaming today. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about you and the work that you do. And I was really curious about your work with fossils. So can you tell us a little bit about how did you get started with this?
I have a zoology degree, so I always really was fascinated by extinct life. And my earliest memory is sobbing at the Smithsonian because I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay with the dinosaurs.
That's amazing.
It's like I can't remember anything before that. That's like boom. I arrived as a person when I fell in love with dinosaurs and fossils. So I've just always wanted to do this kind of work, and I was lucky enough to. I've been doing this for almost 8 years now here.
Okay, well, and you started as a volunteer, right?
I did. I did. Previous to this, I was a zookeeper at a actually at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I also did behavioral research at the LA Zoo, and I worked with live animals. But yeah, now I get to work with things that you can actually take a weekend, and they don't complain if you don't feed them. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Okay, so they have a zoo at the Playboy Mansion.
They
Or
used
something
to,
have a
yeah,
zoo.
yeah, they used to back in the day. A lot of rescue animals. I wasn't part of anything else going on at Playboy, but yeah, I took care of the monkeys, and people would bring parrots, and like, oh, I didn't know parrot was so much work. Here, you take the parrot. Get a zoo license, so yeah.
Do you have a pet parrot or anything like that?
No, gosh, they are so loud, and I live in an apartment. I do have
Oh,
a
yeah.
Lego and 2 cats, and we have a dog and some fish.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, that's really cool. And Smithsonian is like whenever you're a kid, going to those places is just wonderful. And I remember when I went to the Smithsonian museums for the first time, and it was like you could spend weeks there.
Absolutely.
I just love that. Well, thank you for what you do because it's really important, and people need to go to museums and support museums, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's fun. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the word museum sometimes could scare people, but it is really fun. So let's talk a little bit about your work with writing and everything. So when did writing enter your life?
oh gosh, I've always done that too. It's sort of these twin tracks. I did at one point get to write or co-write actually a book about dinosaurs for young readers for the Smithsonian. So sometimes it dovetails, but often it doesn't. But yeah, I love science fiction and horror, and I've been lucky enough to be writing comics specifically since, oh gosh, 2009, I think was my first horror comic. So
Okay. Well, what do you like about sci-fi and horror in particular?
I really enjoy, I mean, I know we spoke about David Lynch a little bit before, but I enjoy the chance to dream. And I like the ability to create worlds. And same reason I love to read these genres is why I like to write them too.
Well, you've worked on a lot of really, really amazing projects with your writing, but we're going to talk a little bit about California Screamin', which we've talked about before on this channel with David Avallone. So if you have a chance to go watch that interview, it's a really interesting interview, everybody, and contribute to this project. But can you tell us a little bit, remind people, what is California Screamin'?
This is going to be a really great, in my opinion, horror anthology focused on the Golden State, where I do live. And it's got a wide range of creators. I'm lucky enough to be working with Kelly Williams, who's an amazing artist. We did an EC story together for Oni when Oni Comics resurrected the EC line. I've now done, oh gosh, I think 12 stories for EC. So I just love the short form, especially for horror and sci-fi, and where those genres cross. So this is a horror sci-fi story about giant frogs. So
Yes, giant frogs. Okay, I'm writing this down here. I'm a huge creature feature, nature fights back, anything involving animals and horror or sci-fi. I just love that.
oh, that's where I'm at too. Any chance to put any creatures in my work. Um, Anybody that's read my stuff knows that there's always something in there. That I wrote a sci-fi graphic novel 2 years ago that all hinges on what happens to a cat. So,
Ooh, so can you tell us, or is that a spoiler?
oh, it's a bit of a spoiler, but
Okay.
but I will say that the name of the thing is The Space Between, and at the end, the fate of everybody who's left of humanity hinges on the choices one person makes for the good of his cat. So,
That's right. So you and David are both cat people.
yes, that's right. I think there's often that goes hand in hand. I mean, cats can be magic and they can also be chaos. And what's more fun to write about?
Cats are amazing. And I think that it's really interesting. I've talked to a few filmmakers too who work in independent horror, and they also make movies about cats. Like I've talked to a couple who have done like some great horror movies, of course, and then they also have like a whole series about their cats.
It's irresistible, honestly. I feel like, at least for myself, if I'm writing just about people, it can get lonely. I feel like
Mm.
people themselves is just a really lonely prospect. So I like to add in more of the biome, I guess you'd say.
Giant frogs. So have you ever seen have you ever seen that horror movie Frogs
Oh, of course, yes.
with what's his name? Sam Elliott.
Yes, exactly. I was like, wait, it's actually somebody good in that. Yes.
Yes, yes. And what I love, so I have a question for you about these types of movies in particular, is whenever it comes to nature fights back or creature features or whatever the context is for having animals in a horror movie, people approach it differently, right? Sometimes they have fake ones that look really monstrous. Sometimes they just take a smaller one and blow it up really big, like in the old Attack of the Giant Gila Monster or whatever. So what? And then frogs, they just zoom in on it real close, and you're supposed to to think these things are controlling your mind. So, which one do you prefer?
You know, I find there's a place for just about everything. I find the things where they superimpose like a regular lizard on like a cityscape very charming. But there's of course a place for really well designed creatures and CGI, and uh, I think it depends on the project. I'm often charmed by the older ones, and I have, gosh, like in them, for instance, like
Uh,
there. It seems like it should be almost silly, but you can get so into it if you just take it on its own terms. So
yeah.
there's a place for that too.
And I mean, the idea, just the very idea of ants getting to be that big, and of course, beyond the socio-political message of that movie, just the idea of ants becoming that large is terrifying because we know
It
how
is.
much damage they could cause.
It's interesting. That movie in particular, I've always found interesting because, yes, as you say, like the implications of the message of the movie are so serious, and yet it's giant ants. And that's another thing I just love about horror and sci-fi in general is you can take these things and make it so pointed about that. Or even I've worked on some Planet of the Apes, and
Mm,
it could become silly, but I and my co-writer approached it very seriously, and of course the movies take it seriously, and the message is very serious. And I love how you can pull out things and sort of almost hold up and get a one facet of a story and expand on that. And that's something I really love about genre stories in general.
yes, and also the idea, because a lot of times people are turned off whenever, for some reason, they hear some message and they interpret it as political in a movie. But of course, we know that art and horror and everything has always been political. But whenever, for some reason, that makes it more palatable to people. And these messages still manage to get through, whether they realize it or not. And I think one that I think just always gets me is the Blob, the original one especially, because the very last shot of that, they just go out there and they say, and if you let this ice melt, then the Blob's going to come back. And I just love that.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. All right, so we have giant frogs. Can you tell us any more about that?
Yeah, I in my day job work with a lot of sort of almost academic stuff, things that almost seem like they'd be questions that, oh, who cares about what happens to an oyster that is this one little part of this ecosystem? But when
Yeah.
kind of examining one facet of a story and expanding that and learning more about the world through this one spot, you can do that in science too. So a lot of times I have a lot of crossover. And my frog story is, yes, it's silly. It's about giant frogs, but it's also about how people perceive power and about larger environmental concerns. And yes, so we pack all of that into under 10 pages. So
I love it.
and also, there's a lot of frog mayhem. So I don't want it to sound like I'm only doing frog polemics. Don't worry. There are
That's good.
by giant frogs.
Okay, frog polemics. I like that.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about the other contributors on this project, the stories that they're working on?
I don't know a lot about them. We've all been sort of siloed. A lot of us know each other. So we trust that these will be fantastic stories. Like, I can't wait to read David's. I love his writing. And he's a fascinating person. And he always has a fascinating take on things. Leonie, who put this project together, I love her art and her storytelling. And it's wonderful that this is being put together by a woman. This is Women in Horror Month, I believe. So there are a number of women.
Yes.
And yeah, so a lot of horror sometimes is not a space people traditionally associate with women,
Yeah.
despite the fact that it was created by women in the first place. So go figure.
Correct. Exactly. And happy International Women's Day, a day late to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to everyone in horror, of course. Okay, so we have David Avallone's story is going to be about the not the La Brea Tar Pits, about La Brea Tar Pits. He taught me that in our interview. And then we're gonna have a story about giant frog, and we're gonna have stories about Bigfoot. So every part of California is going to be represented here, is what we determined last time. Are you from California?
I am not originally. I am from Florida, another frog stronghold.
Yes.
But I have been here for a couple of decades now. So hopefully I can be an honorary Californian at this point.
Yes, I was born in California, but I left 2 months after I was born. So you are more of a Californian than I am, for sure.
Oh, I don't know. I think it might be a state of mind.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So Florida to California. Wow, so you said a couple of decades. So did you move there in the 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, I was in New York for a bit in between. So I lived in New York City for a while and then Santa Fe, New Mexico, of all places. So yeah, I've been here since the 90s.
Beautiful Santa Fe.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't there very long. I was there about 10 months, but
Okay.
it is gorgeous. So
Ooh. I'm in the Arizona desert right now, and it's just absolutely beautiful, but getting too hot slowly.
here too. It's going to be 90 next week. So
Oh yeah. Okay. So in Florida, my sister lives in Florida. Of course, I've seen lots of frogs there, seen lots of creatures there and everything. But what did you think about was there a culture shock for you going from Florida to other places?
A bit, yeah. I mean, I lived in a town that was the winter quarters for the Barnum and Bailey Circus. So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
That's random.
So it was an odd place. We had a lot of people that would come in for the winters, so it wasn't a total like small town Hicksville, but at the same time, it was a circus town, sort of. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a odd place to grow up, definitely. And then moving from there to New York City was definitely eye-opening.
That's wild. So, was this a coastal town or was it in the central part of it?
No, coastal Sarasota. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, beautiful white sand beaches and just a gorgeous, gorgeous place full of tons of wildlife when I was growing up. And I loved the swamps and used to go kayaking among the alligators. I learned to call alligators and Girl Scouts. It was a whole vibe.
Wait a second. So, the alligators sound like bullfrogs or something. Is that right?
Yeah, the mother alligators have a particular call that they do for their babies. And for some reason, they taught us this in Girl Scouts as if you would want to call a mother alligator that might be upset that you were not.
Right.
But yeah, we learned all sorts of things. We learned which snakes you could pick up and which you couldn't. And
Mm.
I don't know if they still teach people those kind of things in Girl Scouts. I'm guessing they don't.
Oh, they need to. That's so like just one day in Florida, you can run into a billion different snakes.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was yeah, I still remember red touches black, pat him on the back. And then when
That's it.
I found out that does not work in South America. So don't do this if you're in South
Okay.
America.
Okay. Good to know. I had a rattlesnake encounter last week with my dog, and I didn't even see the thing because normally I'm very well aware in my surroundings, but I was just totally zoned out, looking at the beautiful saguaros around me, and
Yeah.
then I heard this loud whoosh rattle sound, and I was like, "What is that?" And it was about 5 feet in front of us. Up, get out of the way,
That
pose, and
that is kind
yeah,
of terrifying. I mean, it's
yeah.
cool to alert you, but at the same time, it's very scary.
It is, yes. But I was so thankful for my dog, everybody, because she stopped me from walking, and if she hadn't been there, I would have stepped on it.
That is a good dog.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a long segue. Sorry about that. Okay, back to the Kickstarter. So we have how many days left on this?
Oh my gosh, I think there's only 2 or 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up here because we're gonna go through some of the tiers for people to see. And I think you're right. 2 days. Give us all your money, folks.
Yes, it's going to be a good book. I absolutely believe this.
Yeah, we've got some great artists. We have some great writers on this project. Really cool stories, and like we said, from all over different parts of California. And I think I said this last time, but the tiers it's rare to find things that are this affordable, people. I mean, we have $10, you can get a digital edition. $15 is the deluxe digital edition. That gives you things like sketches, postcard art, and more. It only goes up by $5 increments, so there's no reason not to throw some cash their way to help bring this to life. You get digital mega bundles, you get other comics and things, and the top tier is only $70. So I think it's great.
And I know that Leonie, who's running it, she just really cares about getting good comics out to the people. Like, this isn't some sort of, oh, we think we're going to cash it. Well, we're all comics professionals, so we know we're not going to cash it.
Right, right.
Making good work and getting it out there.
Yes, and this is about also supporting independent art and artists. It's all on Kickstarter here, so this isn't going to be breaking the bank like you said. This is bringing together really unique stories with really talented artists in a time when independent artists are being choked out in a lot of ways, and they're having work stolen from them to train robots. So we want to support human art if we can.
Yeah, all 100% human made. This is a book that is not made by anything artificial.
That's great. And yes, and if it was, then we would not have a video on this channel because we don't support AI crap. That's
Nope.
a bitter wolf.
That's a good stand pick. I 100% approve that.
Let's look at some of the other tiers here. I was already looking at the tiers. I meant to look at the time that's left. Yeah, I think it says like 50 hours or something. 66 hours to go.
We are
So
down the wire, so the time is
yes, the time is now. So, all right. Since you've lived in LA, what do you like about LA?
one of the things, not to give too much credit to David, but he picked the most fascinating thing about LA to write about, because the tar pits are a actual wonder of the world, and it's one of the best things about LA, honestly. I love the tar pits, and there's no place else like it. It preserves such a slice of history, prehistory. And I mean, LA is wonderful for a lot of reasons, but that is something that does not exist anywhere else in an urban environment.
It's such a fascinating thing. Like it's a through line in history, connecting the different periods in time, because you have dinosaurs in there and you have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, actually, a weird thing about the tar pits is no actual dinosaurs in those pits.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
yeah, only Ice Age animals. But which is not to say there's no dinosaurs anywhere. There are dinosaurs at the Natural History Museum. But yeah, in those pits, it's just things that lived here when humans first arrived and a little before. So you look at what came out of there, and you can see, I can imagine like a saber-toothed cat walking through right now here because of what we're seeing coming out of there in so many numbers. It's an amazing treasure trove.
That's really cool. So have you got to work with some of these saber tooths?
Not a lot of them. I have gotten my hands on some of it and been in the labs back in that museum and back in their collections. And it is just fascinating because there are things like modern day animals there, but then these things that are long extinct. So tons of dire wolves, for instance, crazy,
Ooh.
like that people keep coming to the tar pits there, the museum that's there, and saying, dire wolves aren't real because, of course, they're a fantasy animal. But no, they were a real animal before they got used in Game of Thrones. So,
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Um, I just love wolves too, and uh, right now there's lots of protections that are being removed for things like wolves and other creatures around the country. So that's another thing that I like to support here, is helping to promote the preservation of wolves, especially. But
oh, that
did I hear something about dire wolves, like they were able to bring it back or something like that?
yeah, that's a they said they were, but when you get that up on its feet, I would say that's not as true as they might want you to think.
Okay. Is this one of those tech bro moments where they're saying
Yeah.
something for the investors?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, I know that they are a rather litigious company, so I won't pretend to.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
no, right. I mean, I don't have a horse in this race, but I won't pretend
Yeah.
exactly what they did. But in talking to other people who are experts on the subject,
Yeah.
um, they did something, and it did create a creature that didn't exist before. The operative words being, it was a creature that did not exist before. It's a new creature.
Yeah, that's that seems like a Jurassic Park moment, right? Like a whether
Exactly.
or not you should type thing.
Yeah, it's something that it's not like they did nothing, but calling it any sort of resurrection, I think, is premature. Let us say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how do you feel about that? This is all just going in all kinds of directions. For
Yeah, no,
people, this is all relevant because it's part of California and we're screaming from inside of us to protect animals.
this actually that does make me scream in my heart and out loud.
Good.
That
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I feel like often if there was a situation where there is an animal that was nearly extinct and they could do this, or an animal recently extinct, and there was a place to put it back in the wild, that would be wonderful. But a lot of what makes an animal, especially something like, say, a mammoth, I know that there's a lot of interest in de extincting mammoths. A
Yeah.
lot of what elephants, current elephants, what makes an elephant is learning from particular its mother, its environment, everything else, its older siblings, how could you make a mammoth? You couldn't, I don't think, because there's no mammoths to teach it how to be a mammoth. So I think we'd be better off creating spaces where animals that are on the verge of extinction could be safely put back into the wild or more wild areas. And of course, that's just
Yeah.
my, but I think those are important things to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think about some creatures that I've had the opportunity to be close to, and you just, anytime you're close to an animal, I think you learn something amazing about it and you just appreciate it so much more. Like the manatees that we're talking about, Florida, they're always facing some kind of crap from people and not being protected in the ways they should be. But it's so important to understand these are not just cute creatures, they're not just amazing creatures to look at, but they're so important to the ecosystem. And that even affects our lives, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's exactly right. And when I worked in behavioral research in the LA Zoo, a lot of what I worked on was looking at the enclosures from the animal's point of view and trying to collect data to find out if the animals actually were utilizing and enriched enough in their enclosures. Because before that, mostly studies had only been done on how humans perceived the animals in the enclosure. Which, if an animal in a zoo is a um, sort of an ambassador for their species, okay, it's important that people get a good idea of what they're doing and that sort of thing. But it's also important that that animal be have the best life it could do because it's giving its entire life to teach humans, if you would, about its conspecifics. But
God, yeah.
yeah, and I learned so much about how animals, like I worked on black rhinos, I worked with the chimpanzees. We even talked to Jane Goodall about improving the chimpanzee
Oh,
enclosure at the zoo, which was an amazing experience because, of course, the goal being that people that come to the zoo would then care about the animals in the wild instead of just like, oh, that's an entertaining day. You want them to care about what's going on and, like you're saying, the entire ecosystem, because ultimately what happens to that ecosystem is what happens to all of us. And I think
yep.
that is also what at the end of the day, what the story in California Screaming is completely about, because nothing scares me more than we just destroy our home. We think we're
Yeah.
just these homes of the creatures. No, it's our home too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these, we were referring before about how a lot of these creature features and nature fights back movies that get so silly, or books or anything, or art, anything that depicts it, they get so silly, but they really do have a practical function of helping us to empathize more and to be curious about the natural world, and to heed some warnings. You know, it's like it may not be that the blob comes to get us, but if the if the ice melts, then it could release something blob-esque
Yeah,
that's going to kill us. You know, which is like it's the things are going to rise and it's going to affect everything.
there are certainly
Um,
a lot of viruses and things frozen in there. We do not
yeah,
want those, I don't think.
right. The thing, we don't want that to thaw
No,
out, you know.
we don't we don't want to meet.
keep, keep that over there. So in the fossil record that you've examined, I don't know if I use that term right, but in the fossils that you have examined, is it like a wide variety? Is it everything, or is it like a focus on marine animals or mammals, or what is it?
It's interesting. I've done a lot of field work on with dinosaurs in Utah, Jurassic and Cretaceous. So some of it right before the asteroid struck. I've also done a lot of work as a fossil preparator in the Triassic, which is right after a huge extinction event, and things were just wild because all of the niches for animals were wide open because everything had died. And I think getting that sort of perspective does kind of change how you look at things going on now, because I'm now currently working a lot more with more recent extinctions that are into like the Paleocene, that kind of thing. So these are interesting because we're looking at a broad range of tiny little creatures that fluctuate a lot because of climate change mostly. Things were a lot more tropical at a certain point, then they cooled off as the ice ages happened. And when you look at that on either a fine scale or a larger scale, and you start to see these things repeat, and then you look at where we're at with the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that kind of thing, um, it's a little bit scary right now. Yeah, and it does make you really stop and think, what are we doing?
Yeah. Oh God. Um, so have you had a chance to, I was thinking about sharks too. So do you work with shark
I have
fossils?
found a lot of it's interesting. There's a lot of because where I am in California, LA was underwater for a long time.
Right.
So yeah, there are a lot of marine deposits here. I have worked with mostly. I mean, sharks are cartilaginous, so they don't fossilize very well, except for all those teeth. So
Oh, that's right. Okay.
yeah, we find anywhere that we find. I'm such a nerd, fossil nerd. I'm probably like going off on subjects that you're.
No, no. You're teaching me. I love learning this stuff. So it's like everything you're saying today. For example, I just lumped saber-toothed tiger into dinosaurs. So
Oh,
you're
right.
teaching me a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's you're not the only one. Everybody does that. So it's just my when I'm doing tours for people and stuff, I'm like dinosaurs over here, the cats are over here. But the the interesting thing about the shark teeth is because they keep regrowing them, and it's like a conveyor belt. Well, they just spit out teeth, same as dinosaurs do the same thing. So you find tons of
Oh
teeth,
wow.
even if you're not looking for them. But right around here in LA, I've also worked on whale fossils that were found. Like there's one in our lab right now that was found under Dodger Stadium. And
Oh
it's
wow.
amazing to think whales were swimming around Dodger Stadium.
That's that's I do love that. Like when I go out hiking, and I go out hiking a lot, or camping or something, sometimes you sit there and you think like, who has passed this way before? And sometimes it's some amazing creature you don't know. You share this space together. And it's just, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's one of my favorite things looking at a landscape, especially since I've done so much field work and looking at just the strata and what was there and imagining, oh, yes, there could have been a giant sloth right here where I'm standing. And I don't know, it's a very peaceful way of looking at the world, I think.
Oh yeah, so giant. Well, I mean, sloth is a bit. It seems like a peaceful creature. I don't know if that's just because it's slow, but was the giant sloth peaceful? Do you know?
I don't know. I think probably unless you bothered it.
Okay, yeah.
I
We're
always
gonna make a giant sloth horror movie.
I think you could because I'm often reminded, I think of even at the museum, I always hear little girls and stuff going, "Oh, I like the Diplodocus or whatever the big long necked dinosaurs because they were peaceful and they ate plants." And I'm thinking, I bet that would stomp you if you bothered it.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, the elephants.
Elephants do, but and a lot of people
Yeah,
get in Africa. Hippos are one of the worst offenders, and that eats plants too. So
yeah, hippo. You don't want to be near a hippo. That's
no,
for sure. Even though they're beautiful,
they
and I
are.
love a hippo.
I would not want to antagonize one. No.
Yeah, I read. Anyway, we'll go way too far off track with the hippos. I get really distracted by animals. I could talk about them forever
Oh,
too.
me too.
It's like, but the reason I asked you about sharks, because this is kind of a sub genre of this whole creature feature thing, and I was talking to a filmmaker who makes shark movies, like tons of shark movies, and because she does the things like Santa Jaws and
Oh,
Mississippi River Shark,
mhm.
Ozark Sharks,
Right.
virus shark, so all these types of things, and we were talking about the idea that these things also have a function in Jaws. We go back to Jaws and how Peter Benchley was really upset about how he felt it made people afraid of sharks in a way, and he wanted to start a foundation to help educate people about the reality of sharks. And I think that some of these silly shark movies sometimes help with that mission, because what it does, this is just my perspective on it, but what it can do is say like, there is no way that a shark's going to come up and through your toilet like in House Shark, or something like that. And maybe our fear of these things is ridiculous.
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of like I've done panels. I did one recently at a Star Wars convention where we talked about the biology of Star Wars, and it was one of the most boisterous, engaged panels I've ever done at a convention because everybody wanted to learn about, oh, could that really happen? Is that really a thing? And we brought it back around to
Oh,
um,
that's cool.
it was really interesting, and I think everybody had a lot of fun. And I feel like there's a real place for people to get drawn in and excited about creatures because of how they're used in science fiction and fantasy and what have you. Like if you're really
Sure.
in wolves, you might want to find out if dire wolves are real, and it might make you a connection. So I'm all for that. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like I don't think I ever considered anything about a megalodon until the
Right,
Meg.
right.
I mean, as silly as those movies are, you know?
Oh, silly.
And
So fun too. And I'm a big proponent of don't yuck somebody's yum because of being pedantic about, oh, could a megalodon jump out of the water like that? Ah, it's fun to see, and if you're interested in what could really happen, go look it up and read about it, and then you can have fun in both ways, you know.
yes, yes. And I sort of touched on this too with David. We were referencing Moby Dick and how in that book you have narwhals and how they're seen as this mythical creature, you know. And I remember reading, oh, it wasn't Moby Dick. I'm sorry. It was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea
Right.
with the narwhal. But in Moby Dick, they considered the whale a monster. So it's the same idea of like this thing is a monster because we're not familiar with it, or this thing doesn't exist because there's no way that could exist. We've never seen it before. And when I remember I was reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I didn't know narwhals actually existed. And that was just blew my mind when I discovered they did.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, a lot of dinosaurs and things too. Like I know that a little while ago somebody told me, oh, there were birds with four wings, and I went, ah. But it turns out, yeah, and it's
Jeez.
wildest things existed during the Cretaceous, and probably a lot of things that we'll never even know about. But they do right now too. And I feel like making you think about these things and think about how that would work, or maybe even the fact that that couldn't work, or if it could work in a different way, in a different planet. It's a lot like thinking about other political systems and things too in sci-fi. Like if you can't imagine it, you can't see it. But if you could imagine it, then you can see how things can work. And so that's, I feel like there's a lot of art in science, and a lot of just you need to be able to, even if you're imagining things that had really happened, like, oh, this biome used to exist, imagining how it happened is really important.
Absolutely. That's that exactly. And I think it's something that we need now more than ever, whenever we're being inundated by fake stuff all the time,
Like,
things that have been generated purposefully to mislead people, and to the way that they like to isolate us from having human connections and connections with the natural world. So I think it's really important, all of that.
I totally agree with that. That's one of the things I dislike about AI the most is, yeah, you can say a prompt and it can spit something out. It's not thinking about how that could work, or it doesn't make the tiny little decisions. A paleo artist drawing a dinosaur has to look at things and decide, could this happen? Would this look like this? What other things are in this world? And they have to take all that into account, and every single thing they've put on that page is a decision. And even if it's a wrong and their information is outdated, it still tells you something about what they were thinking about. And I don't understand why we would want to look at anything that was so empty that no one thought about it.
Yeah, so it's like the thing is like if you didn't bother to write it, why would I bother to read it?
Exactly. Said that
That's that type.
to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did have a really something that just came up to me was something I just remembered, which is whenever you were at the Smithsonian, did you happen to see the display of the man and his dog?
Oh gosh, it's been so long since I was there. Um, I do remember seeing that though. I now I'm like, did I see it in person or have I only seen a photo of it?
Right. It's like that. Yes, I think I'm that way too. It's like I don't remember if I actually saw it, but I was just so fascinated. Do you know about the history behind that guy and everything?
No, is there more to it?
Oh my God, yes. So I have to tell you because
Yes.
it's just amazing, especially as someone who's interested in who loves fossils and is interested in uh, things like that. But so it actually has to do with this guy right here too,
Oh,
um, which is crazy. So the guy who is the man in The Man and His Dog, his name was Grover Krantz. And he was one of the leading anthropologists in the United States during his lifetime. And of course, his best friend in the world was his dog. And so he said, whenever I die, I want to donate my body to the Smithsonian with my dog's body and
oh,
keep us together. So that's the cool story. But the reason this gets involved is because not only was Grover Krantz one of the leading anthropologists, he was also one of the foremost Bigfoot experts in
that's
the United States,
I did know that. That's so crazy.
which is just like that. To me, that tension is something that's really fascinating because I know anthropologists and I know how they feel about Bigfoot.
Oh yes.
Um, so I wondered what you thought about that as someone who's worked with fossils, who's working on a project right now where we have a Bigfoot story. Um, and the thing I love about Bigfoot, I don't believe Bigfoot's real or anything. I do love the storytelling aspect and how we mythologize things and it gets passed down through generations and what it says about our connection to ourself. But what do you feel about this?
Even if something like that, like I feel this about ghost stories and a lot of things that occupy that kind of gray space between story and reality, that even if it doesn't tell you something real about the world, it kind of tells you something real about the world, if you know what I mean. Like it tells you something about what's going on that would make people believe that. It tells you something about why people would want to believe that. And just the fact that we need mystery and places to explore and we need reasons to be curious. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Sometimes people can get lost in that and go down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole, get lost in conspiracy theories or whatever. But on the whole, I think remaining curious is a really positive thing, and that sometimes these monsters on the edges of things actually can improve our lives and make us feel more connected to the wild or the world or just to that feeling of awe, which is important too.
I love that. And that's the feeling that we get to whenever we take in art in any medium. That's the feeling we're going to get when we read California Screamin' together, folks. So throw all the money you have at California Screamin'
That's
and save some for yourself too.
all the money, or at least 5, 10, 15.
Yes,
Those
yes,
five-
exactly. Exactly, because it's affordable and like we said before, we want to support independent art. We want to support human art, especially, and help to bring this piece to life. So, um, but Corinna, is there any other point you want to make about California Screamin'?
Oh gosh, just I would love to have this book happen. Our tagline is "Make horror happen," and there are a lot of real horrors out in the world right now. Maybe take in some bite-sized horrors that you can actually have fun with instead. That would be my recommendation.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. Well, everybody go check out California Screamin's Kickstarter. It will be in the description below the video here. I'll share it on all my socials. I'll post this interview later today after I edit a little bit, and
And
then we'll hopefully get some more stuff in here. But I want to thank you so much for coming here and talking to me about it today, Corinna.
oh, thank you so much. This was a really fun chat.
Yes, that's great. And I want to have you back again sometime to talk about the rest of your work because you have so much of it.
Oh,
Um, and since you're a horror fan, the Horror Mosaic needs you, which is my project about profiling people in the horror community, people who make horror, people who love horror, and anything like that. So we could
oh,
talk
I
about your.
checked several of those boxes.
Yes, yes, you do. So, and I loved our conversation too about Thank you so much for being so passionate about animals and the welfare of animals. And I know my mascot here, the Bitter Wolf, thanks you himself. So let me get him to thank you. So thank you so much, Corrina.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time on the Bitter Wolf.